Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Just a Thought. But this one is a little different. This
Hmm.
time we're going live. You're gonna see us in person,
Right?
and we have a wonderful person that's gonna share some information with us. This time it's not just a thought; it's more of a research thought, and it's a special edition because we out here trying to just help people and share the information with everyone. So with that being said, let's kind of get right into it. My name is Dr. Chukwuemeka Ikeguano. I'm one of your co-hosts of Just a Thought. I research higher education, finance, budgeting, all that wonderful stuff.
I am Dr. Leela Ellis Nelson. I am a full time faculty member at Roosevelt University. I also own my own private practice, which is a diversity, equity, and inclusivity firm here in Chicago. I definitely want us to be able to check in with our guest. And again, this is one of those research thoughts, it's an empirical thought. This is a moment. If you remember his former episode, I'll be sure to post that link for you as well. But please reintroduce yourself to our former guests and some of our new listeners out there.
I appreciate y'all having me again. My name is Suraju Jolaoso. I am, hopefully by the time you're listening to this, going to be a doctor of education from Baylor University School of Education. A little treat for you all. This is also doubling as my dissertation presentation. So I was here before, I'm back now, and they're signing off on it. So let me hopefully tell y'all some things about what I've learned and what I've seen.
And you know what? That's perfect though, right? Because when you were here before, it was almost like we were ramping up for this moment. And now we really get a chance to settle in the good of it all. So with that in mind, why don't you tell us essentially what your problem statement is and give us like the brief cut? What's the brief overview of your lit review? Give us the ins and outs of it.
So as far as my problem statement, in essence, going back to racial injustices, specifically within the higher education community, a lot of talk came around the idea of who's educating these students and how are they being supported and who are the people supporting them. I did a little research and learned as of 2018 through the US Department of Education, 1 out of every 16 faculty members throughout the country, the United States, of course, identifies as Black. Meanwhile, 12 out of that same 16 identifies as white. So having a 12-to-1 disparity between white and Black faculty, respectively. So my problem statement was to try and figure out the recruitment and retention experiences of Black faculty members at different institutions throughout the country, in hopes to offer some insight in the hiring and retention of Black faculty members at predominantly white institutions. Because at the end of the day, we want to see more folks from more demographics in different spaces doing culturally relevant things, hence the shirt. As far as the lit review is concerned, we had to take it all the way back to when higher education was initially established back in the 1600s. Higher education was initially established for white men, doctors, lawyers, engineers, things of that nature. With time, of course, other populations and demographics had the opportunity to become educated, but there was a notable disparity in the opportunities that were available. So with time, the civil rights era in the 1950s and 60s, the development of critical race theory came across through Dr. Derek A. Bell. That's actually the theory that my research is based in. With the literature research that we were going through, it made sense to understand what the current state of diversity in higher education is as well, acknowledging the current numbers and what has been cited as the different challenges between recruitment and retention of Black faculty within these spaces. Some of the conversation pointed towards diversity of thought. Diversity of persons definitely trumps diversity of thought. Not everyone comes from the same cloth, but we all can, warm each other up.
After you said all that wonderful information about your problem statement, the literature, I'm over here just soaking it all in. Break it down to me. What is the purpose of what you're doing?
At the end of the day, there's so many different conversations. This specific research study looks at 2 main factors, recruitment and retention, specifically of Black faculty members that work at predominantly white institutions. I had a main research question, that main research question being, what are the experiences of recruitment and retention of Black faculty members at PWIs? And some secondary questions that would help with that research: what factors led to Black faculty accepting faculty positions at PWIs, the different factors that encourage and discourage them to accept those positions, and then what other factors currently exist that contribute to Black faculty members' interest in staying at their respective institutions. Are they getting what they want to get out of it once they get there? You know, it's nice to be in the building, but if you don't want to stay in the building, then it's kind of a moot point.
What did your methodology essentially look like? How did you pull that together? And did you see any concerns related to even getting real depthful responses from people, that honesty?
As far as the methodology, critical race theory is all up and through this thing. It was really important to acknowledge that there is theoretical framework and research that's already been done to acknowledge and establish where we are. So I had to make sure to, shout out Derek A. Bell again, and the different tenets that came across through his theoretical framework, whether it's the intercentricity of race and racism, challenging dominant ideology, commitment to social justice. I mean, that sounds very cut and dry, but it gets a little deeper than that. It required conversation. It was one of those situations where I couldn't just assume that people knew better. Some people don't know what critical race theory is. Critical race theory was created with the intention of serving Black individuals, but subsequently, there's stuff for the Asian Pacific Islander community, the Latinx community, the LGBTQ community that stemmed from critical race theory. It gave me a lot of useful information. And of course, I thought to myself, well, I can't ask everybody the questions. I can't expect every Black faculty member to give me the real when it comes to recruitment and retention at their school. I decided to go with a multiple case study, and I looked to 5 different Black faculty members at predominantly white institutions. They all happen to be from the Midwest or the South. So of course there are limitations that revolved around this study. I only worked with 5 individuals between their first and second year in their respective institutions, just coming off of whether it was a previous institution or not being in the academy at all. The conversation went really well. There were a lot of useful pieces of information. We ranged different genders, we ranged different ages. Being able to see comparable phenomenological instances really surprised me.
I feel like we're at this point now where you went through the problem, you gave us the purpose, you told us how you did it. Give me a rundown of what you found, man. What's interesting? Hit us with the heat one time, blow us back.
Confirm what I'm feeling right now, every single day of my life.
Ooh, you feel it in your spirit. It's one of those things where you're like, okay. So the research tells me what I already knew. When it came down to it, those participants, they had so many different experiences prior to entering the academy. They had so many experiences within the academy, and their experiences at their current institutions were really telling as well. Participant number 3, Kobicha, had the hardest time getting into the academy. The struggle of finding that terminal degree that would benefit him and making the best of that experience, because so few people were truly investing in him to begin with. I remember having that individual interview, being done with it and saying, wow, for him to be where he is now, perseverance was key, but also the support from family. He wanted better for his family. He wanted better for the people around him. You can't ignore the effort that was put into it. And you always want to make sure that people get their flowers. And sometimes giving people flowers is planting the seeds for future flowers to grow. Participant number 4, Coco. She was probably the most skeptical person that I spoke to out of the 5. Had a great career prior to, went through the terminal degree process just to sharpen her own skills and be the subject matter expert she sought herself to be. But then different individuals came to her and said, hey, you have a very niche skill set. And, of course, your identity also benefits when it comes to this conversation. We don't have that perspective in post-secondary education. So why don't you check out academia and see what that looks like? And Coco easily said, I'll give it a try, but if I don't like it, I'm leaving. I'm not going to put myself in a situation where, if anything, she felt like she was doing the academy a favor and saying, oh, you know what, I guess I'll help y'all out. It seems like you need it. One of the big things that came out of conversation with Coco was the idea of interest convergence. Given her subject matter expertise, the specific field she's in, and the people that were looking for that type of support, she knew at the end of the day, she was very capable. She also knew that she was very fortunate to have the opportunity to pursue that education, get that degree. But one of my favorite quotes from the entire process, you have something they want. So don't pretend like you're doing them a favor by taking the job. That'll always stick with me. As far as the overall themes, first one being the academy not being a primary interest for participants. When individuals say, hey, I can't find Black faculty members that are interested in the academy, that's because no one's encouraging them to look into it. At no point have these individuals gone through their college experiences and their terminal degree experiences and been told, hey, you know what? The academy is the next step for you. This is the place to go. This is how it can be set up. So few of these individuals had that direct experience and usually had to get it from one of those other 1 in 16 faculty members that said, hey, did you know you can do this? In the grand scheme of things, no one suggested it to them. The second one, interest convergence, there were a lot of stories that revolved around it from all of the participants. If it didn't benefit the institution and the specific individuals that the institution wanted it to benefit, they ran into uphill challenges, which leads to the third theme, the idea of having to be better than great to be considered average. And the going statement is you got to come in with the energy of a mediocre white man. You have the skill set, you have the subject matter expertise, you have the ideas, you have the passion, you have the drive, but something doesn't make them a good fit. I think the provosts and the hiring managers and those different individuals have to truly leave no stones unturned. Those three themes really stood out.
Oh, my mama. Have you been listening to me and Emeka's conversations? Have we not been talking about these exact things for the last, I don't know, since we met back in 2009? Like, these have been some of the central issues that have definitely come up consistently. So this is what I want to know. Based on everything that you're saying, whether it be because of support, whether they had it or the lack thereof, having that one Black faculty member, what do you think will be some of the implications for this research as we move forward? We know what the problem is. We know where some of the areas of concern are. And what does this mean as we keep moving?
For those who weren't listening up to this point, these are probably the most important couple of minutes that you're going to be hearing. As far as the implications for, HR departments, point blank, you have to do the work. That's the phrase that everyone loves to say, the thing that everyone likes to quote. You have to make sure that you understand the environment for your Black faculty members, as well as how you are or aren't contributing to that environment. If you're assuming that there's a one-size-fits-all policy or process or procedure, double check that. Make sure that there's an understanding of how this affects different demographics, different genders, different sexual orientations, the whole shebang. Because at the end of the day, if you come to the powers that be and say, oh, I did all I couldn't find them, in that same breath, talking about provosts and other recruiting entities, to what extent do they care about diversifying the academy?
Hold on. I need you to say that one more time for the folk in the back who just came in late for church.
How much do you really care about the diversity of your academy? Because if those people in power don't care, or something lower on their to-do list, then this problem is going to perpetuate itself. This isn't that hard. It's just a question of the investment from those provosts, the third-party recruiters, the different organizations who are not only going through the process of looking for these individuals, but also going through the process of keeping these individuals. Because there are great Black faculty members that I've gotten to meet through this process that have worked at more than one institution. The number of people who are switching institutions, that probably says something. And hopefully, that's something that's being looked into. Black terminal degree holders, those who are looking to break through into the academy, do know that you have worth. You're not just a diversity hire. You're not a token individual. You're someone with skills, talents, and unknown abilities that will bring positivity to an institution. The majority of my professors were Black. Those experiences that I got from them and the knowledge that they imparted on me led me to where I am today, down the street from a doctorate in education. So I definitely want to encourage those who feel like they have some impact and have some say in what they want to do. You might be a little tired. You might be a little stressed. Battle fatigue is real. Imposter syndrome is real. You could be, in a place where the hegemonic things that we've grown up to know up to this point could actively change. Those are the different implications that I found. And Now I need to figure out how to tell people about it.
So how do you plan, or what's the overview of how you're going to just get this information out there to everyone?
It's not a simple fix. I doubt that I could put together a one-pager, send it out to every predominantly white institution in the country, and then they'll say, oh my gosh, he's figured it out. It's a conversation that kind of needs to be had in different increments. There's more than one way to get that information out there. Yes, there are the traditional peer-reviewed journals and the academic websites. There are a lot of different ways to get that information out there. Hey, I'm on a podcast right now. This is the first means of distributing my information and my research. So I thank you all for giving me the opportunity to do that. I just want to make sure the information gets out there, not only for those who are looking to do the hiring and retain those quality individuals, but also for those quality individuals that are looking for that opportunity. I want to make sure the communication is high and it's diverse, so it gets to different people wherever they are. We got to do what we can to get them where they need to be. I'm definitely going to try to put together some different materials, do my little speaking tour. I definitely look forward to getting this information out in front of people and positively impacting that change. So the next time they do that study, it's not 1 out of 16.
Okay, family, you heard it here first. First of all, we definitely want to thank you for coming onto the podcast and letting us know more about what you've been up to lately in terms of your research. We'll also make sure that we distribute this, as he mentioned, as widely as possible. Thank you, Suraju, for coming on and spending some time with us and just letting us know about all the phenomenal work that you're doing. We are so proud, okay?
I definitely thank you all for the opportunity. And hopefully, the folks that are listening, got something out of it.